Moving further afield now, U.S. politics seemingly in turmoil. On Tuesday, the Speaker of the House of Representatives was ousted from his position, a first for the U.S. government. And former President Donald Trump is actively pursuing re-election in 2024. It's despite the fact that he's facing at least 5 court cases. Well, international relations analyst Brooks Spector joins me now. Brooks, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Really, history being made in the chamber, and uncharted territory being walked into when it comes to Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Speak to us about just the fact that this has actually happened.
Yes, good afternoon, Kathy. Good to be with you. The last time anybody tried this was 113 years ago, and they were unsuccessful. That means this is truly a precedent that not many people want to see happen very often. When Kevin McCarthy won his race to become Speaker of the House, because the Republicans had a very slender majority, one of the concessions he made to the right wing of his party was that any one member could raise an objection to his continuation as Speaker, as opposed to the normal, I think it was 5 or 6 that had to propose something. And so as a result, one of his deepest antagonists within the party, Congressman Matthew Gaetz, did in fact do that. They'd had a long history of not getting along. And as a result, 8 Republican congressmen voted to terminate his speakership. And all the Democrats voted against him as well, because they were still a little more than a little bit stung by the way he'd been treating them in the lack of willingness to compromise or negotiate on a whole range of matters that came up before the House of Representatives. And so now the Republicans are left with the rather stark circumstance of having to find someone who will actually take the job. Do you really want a job in which one person can turn around and say, we want you gone, and you're gone? There are at this point, two candidates who've expressed a public conscious willingness to do it. One is Congressman Jim Jordan from Ohio. You may remember him. He's the guy who always shows up in congressional hearings, never shuts up, and is always not wearing his suit coat, just the shirt. And the other is Steve Scalise, who is the majority leader among the Republicans, and he's from Louisiana. He's just a tad less rambunctious, shall we say. But the Republicans are going to have to figure out who their candidate is, get themselves organized so that they identify and vote for somebody as a unit, because they only have a 4-vote majority in the House of Representatives as it is anyway. And until they do it, nothing gets done in the House of Representatives other than the most procedural and simple of tasks. Turn the lights on, turn the lights off, things like that. So they're really stuck. And the problem is they have a negotiation because the continuing resolution that funded the government for 45 days, now I guess 40 days, runs out in mid-November, and so far at least there's no forward motion on that either. So it's a mess.
I guess it's part of what makes it so riveting to actually follow in as far as the developments are concerned. You know, is it victory for Democrats, own goal for Republicans? That's a debate that we'll have to have on a different day, Brooks. But I want to get into the former U.S. President Donald Trump. He's made it clear that he's putting his name in the ring. His name in the hat, rather, when it comes to the upcoming elections. Do you think that he's got a solid story that Americans will be able to buy into yet again, very briefly?
Well, right now he's in fact embroiled in 5 different court cases. The one that's ongoing right at this minute is a non-criminal but very serious case in New York. The judge in the case has already decided that there was fraudulent behavior on the part of the Trump organization in the way it valued its properties, effectively to cheat insurance companies and banks. And now the court case is actually not about whether that happened, but how much of a penalty the Trump organization will have to pay, and whether or not they can be barred entirely from operating in the city and state of New York. And what that does is, though, curiously, it gives Donald Trump a daily platform, in effect, to say, you see how those people, they are persecuting me because they don't want you to elect me as the next president. He's basically using his current court case as a campaign tool, which is unusual to say the least.
All right. Brooks Spector, we'll have to leave it there for tonight.